I owed the cartel, and I knew that one day they were coming for me. I wasn't supposed to make it out. There was a time in my life where I owed a debt that couldn't just be paid with money. It was a time where every move I made could have been the last one. This isn't a movie. This isn't a story that I heard. This is my life. From cartel pressure to prison time to rebuilding everything from the ground up. This is what happens when you live without structure and what it takes to change. If you're watching this and understand something, you don't need to hit rock bottom to wake up. I did, so you don't have to. If you're serious about changing your life, building discipline, and finding purpose, follow this journey and stay locked in. Hey, what's up, guys? My name is JC. I am Wrong to Strong, and today I'm going to share a personal story. When I first started working for that family, the money was coming in pretty fast. Shipments were coming in weekly, and the money was coming in. The money was coming in, and I thought that it would be a good idea to bring in some of my friends, some of my homeboys. It was the worst decision I could have made. I ended up getting robbed by one of my very close friends, and he robbed me for 10 of those pillows. 10. And I remember it just like yesterday, it was nighttime when the whole shipment got in. It was nighttime. We were in Cicero. We were going through the whole shipment, opening up, making sure everything was good. And I remember giving them to him and saying, here, because he was my driver. I need them in the morning because they were already spoken for. I never saw him again after that. The stress that I felt the next day when I was getting my phone blown up by two people. The people that wanted it, the people that gave it to me, and me blowing his phone up. I was stressed. I was stressed and I was in denial. I couldn't believe that somebody that I'd grown up with had done that to me, had robbed me like that, just to my face. I always thought that enemies were the ones that did that. I always thought that people that you didn't know did that to you. But not everybody's the same. Not everybody's the same as you. That's what everybody tells me. That almost cost me my life. I remember a couple days later, they showed up to my house. 2 trucks, 8 guys, and they wanted their money. And at this point, I had already purchased my house, so I was like, well, worst comes to worst, I just sign over my house and that's it. It'll be like a down payment. But they didn't want my house. They didn't want my cars. They didn't want my jewelry. They wanted their money. And I had to do what I had to do to survive. I tell people those 2 years that I was hustling and I was making, a big amount of money. I was living flashy. Chinchilla coats, gold chains, all that stuff that money could buy, right? Power, women. But I was so stressed out that I was completely bald from one side of my head. I was bald on my left side, like a big patch was just no hair. And I had already made up my mind that it wasn't gonna grow back because it was completely like you could tell that there was no pricks there was no hair. And it was just because I was so stressed out all the time about my life. Because when you're in that business and And this is just, 10, 20 kilos, imagine like the twins and everybody else that was dealing in tons and cubic tons. That's how they say it. The stress they're under, me losing a shipment of 10 almost cost me my life, my business, everything. It's one of the reasons why I left Chicago. I just didn't feel safe no more. I didn't feel safe no more when my own tribe was trying to kill me, and then I had a bunch of other people that didn't like me, so I was like a target. And when I decided to move to Arizona, I went from being a dope boy to just completely turning into a drug addict. For some reason, once I moved over here and there was no one to overlook, I guess, my behavior and stuff like that, I completely just went off the edge and using drugs and, being at strip clubs and just, I got DUIs back to back on my motorcycle. It was just a very, very bad couple of years. I was in and out of prison here in Arizona, 4th Avenue. I got sent to Douglas. I was deep in my addiction. I mean, my friend Eric passed away a couple of years ago, and he was my addict buddy. Every time we would relapse together. The only difference is that on this last time when he relapsed, he passed away. I was a little bit stronger this time. But that life it's not what it's cut out to be. A lot of people think that being a dope boy is like, what they see on those videos or what they hear in the music or what they watch in these movies. And it's not. They have all these TV shows now that have, Queen of the South, all these cartels, Landman. It's not what people think. I regret a lot of those years where I lived that life and I thought that was the right way of living or that was like the way of being a man. I regret a lot of my past. Regret it in a way where I know today that it was wrong. Not regret it to the point where I know that I won't do it again. I didn't know better. One of the biggest reasons when I came home and I was uneasy is that I was stressed about owing all that money. If you guys have heard my story, I went back to Mexico to pay off a debt that I owed because I've always taken care of my debts, even if I had to ask for forgiveness at the end. And I was worried, coming home and how was I going to pay back $1 million? How was I going to make that money again? Only through hustling, I started thinking and for the first year when I came home, I was really, really stressed out about how to make money or how I was going to pay that money back and what I was going to do. What's crazy is that mostly everybody that I used to hang out with or do stuff with, I say about 2 maybe are left. Everybody's gone. Either dead or doing life. And it just helps me realize that, because I never felt right about everything that I was doing. I always felt like something was wrong. And that's why I always felt like out of place. And today I have that proof that it was for a reason. Like I matured for a reason. Like I survived for a reason. And I get to live that every day now. By stepping into these prisons, by sharing my story through media on the, they have me all over the prison tablets because I've done so many interviews, podcast interviews, that a lot of them ended up on the prison tablets. But I get to share my story with a purpose now, not crying about it. I get to share it as a classroom setting. I get to share that if I could do it, anybody could do it. And that's the end. Like, if black and white, the mission, the purpose of Wrong to Strong is to show you that story ain't over. You could change. And if I could do it, you could do it. Because ain't nothing special about me. My name's JC. I am Wrong to Strong. Súbase a la Suburban. If you want to check out what we're doing, check us out at www.wrongtostrong.com. Or if you want to see what the foundation is doing, wrongtostrong.org. I think I got it right. Follow us, guys. Súbase a la Suburban, because we're about to take a ride.